24 teams competing across the most geographically spread regional international tournament in the world. Promises to be an absolute cracker, and it's starting this Friday. We will be previewing this today, and we will hope to bring you coverage of this. But for now, as always, you are welcome to the corner. Yes, people, good evening, good afternoon, greetings to you wherever you are in the world. This is, of course, the Coach's Corner. And, of course, the reason why I am unable to show you my screen is that it's completely foggy and you do not want to see me covered in fog. Never a nice look. But as always, we are bringing you coverage of some of the best football around the world, something that is definitely worth looking at. And, of course, we got two continental competitions taking place side by side. So without further ado, I want to thank the man behind the channel. He's certainly becoming a man. In many ways, already is a man. Definitely a fine one. Because he actually agreed to include this in our list of events to cover this year. And he's kindly consented to do something. And here he is. Good evening to you, Boet. How are you?
Good evening, Mani. And to everyone watching. Hope you guys are good. Yeah, Asia Cup, AFCON starting. Some tasty fixtures, of course. Asia Cup, like I said, 24 teams across the biggest continent. Really, there is most widespread. You look from Iraq to all the way to Australia. It's a madness. It's wide covered, and Asia Cup, it will be a good one. It will be definitely.
And I actually started following the Asian Cup since 1994. At that time, I do seem to remember it was Japan who beat Saudi Arabia 1-0 in the final. If memory serves me right, their goalkeeper, Matsunaga, was suspended for the final, but their substitute goalkeeper played and kept a clean sheet as they beat Saudi Arabia. But Saudi Arabia actually went on to gain a measure of revenge by qualifying for the 94 World Cup in the USA at Japan's expense. So, and of course, those were the days back then when it was only a few teams that would be expected to compete for the top prizes later on. But now you've got some emerging teams coming in, proving their worth, especially in recent years. So it's an exceptionally open tournament, and we will see a lot of these teams trying their best to make a name for themselves and leave another legacy.
Yeah.
And as I've said, there are 24 teams in this tournament, split into groups of 4. And the top 2 teams in each group, that is 24 divided by 2, will give you 12. And the 4 best third-place finishers will qualify for the quarterfinals, which, of course, will herald the knockout stages. I mean, not the quarterfinals, I should say round of 16. So,
yeah, round
yeesh.
of 16.
Get it together.
I don't like this third-place thing, if I'm going to be honest. Don't really like it. Just play 3 quarterfinals. But hey, that is what it is.
I do get where you're coming from, but in some cases, it obviously encourages a lot of the teams to really fight harder, and there are going to be some groups of death over here. So I suppose for what it's worth, it'll give the teams in that group a chance, knowing that if they can perform well enough, they should be able to qualify. But regardless of what happens, you are expected to do as well as you must in order to qualify by right. And if you aren't able to make the top two, you have a chance of the third place lottery. That's a nice way it works. In fact, my first World Cup in 1990, that was the exact same format. When you increase the teams to 32 or more than that, then you will get problems. But it is what it is. Now, of course, we're going to take a look at Group A right now. Group A features former champions, in fact, defending champions and hosts Qatar, China, who were runners up in 2004, I should say. Yeah, 2004. And then Tajikistan and Lebanon. Qatar, of course, in addition to being hosts, were also the defending Asian Cup champions, having won the title in the UAE. That was in the last edition. And this was actually part of them staking their claim to not staking their claim, but justifying their right to host the recent World Cup. Because one of the biggest criticisms, of course, was that Qatar never really had that much in terms of a footballing heritage, especially not compared to other teams in the Middle East, certainly not the likes of Saudi Arabia or the UAE, or even other teams like Kuwait and others. Kuwait, of course, is one of the big misses over here. But they won the Asian Cup, and they have played in a couple of editions of the Copa America as a guest team or an international team. I believe actually they played one Gold Cup and one Copa America, or maybe my information might not be correct. But the less said about their performance in the World Cup, the better. And they have, of course, since then tried to, continue to play as much football as they possibly could. But
this group also has other elements to it because of China were originally the first host, and then when COVID came in, of course, um, China didn't meet the regulations, and of course they didn't know how long COVID was going to be, so they switched to Qatar. So there's also a bit of that in this group. Also, I would say the two teams we don't really know in Lebanon and
Tajikistan. I've got the names. Don't worry
uh,
about it. Yeah. So
mostly are in form, where the other two aren't really that in form. And
right.
yeah,
So obviously, there have been a few surprise omissions from this squad. The likes of Karim Boudiaf with 121 caps and a few other experienced players, Asim Madibo and Ali Afif. Afif, of course, was a member of the World Cup squad, as was Boudiaf. And of course, there is no place for Sebastian Syria, but Mohamed Montari misses out due to injury. And this is probably one of the only teams, or maybe, the only teams where every single player is, of course, domestically based, playing in the Qatar League. So Saad Al Sheib was the starting goalkeeper when they won the Asian Cup, but after being dropped following that first game of the World Cup against the Netherlands, I think it was, Meshal Basham came in and took his place and played well. Basham might be expected to start the tournament, although we will see what happens. Of course, the mainstay is Hassan Al Haydos, their captain, with 175 caps, closing in on that magic 200. Akram Afif is also expected to play a role, as is Al Moez Ali, two of their stars in that tournament, the World Cup, that is. Mohamed Wad also is another player to look out for. Roro, definitely someone to not miss. So, again, this is a team which is expected to bank on the experience of the World Cup to take them through. And I'll probably preview the Chinese team because it was interesting how you mentioned how China was supposed to host the tournament. What happened was that they actually hosted the tournament in 2004 when they were tragically beaten in the final by Japan to the tune of 3-1. And I remember in 2002 they had made their first World Cup appearance, but never really developed on that. And China, of course, as a nation, have had their share of highs, but haven't really been able to um, build on that much. And if you take a look at their ranking, they are currently 79th, a bit of a far cry from some of their glory days. Some experience in this squad, of course, among the goalkeepers, especially. Zhang Linpeng is one of their most capped players, 101 caps already. He's expected to lead the line in the defense. Almost all of them domestically based, except for Wu Xiaokong, who plays in Turkey for Gençler Birliği, I think. I have to be very careful with the pronunciation. Wu Ji is, of course, expected to captain the team, the number 15. 88 caps for the national team. And Wu Lei is one of their more experienced strikers. No real controversial omissions from this team in terms of experience. And there are some youngsters in this team, of course, who will be better off for the experience. As for Tajikistan and Lebanon, I will admit that having seen a little bit of the Lebanese team play several years back, I know that they're obviously going to be a typical Middle Eastern Arab team that will fight quite hard. From this team, it'll be hard to look beyond Qatar and China taking the top two places in the group. So it will be a fight for third between Lebanon and Tajikistan, and I would have Lebanon finishing above them. But where do you believe Qatar and China will finish? Who among them will qualify as group winners?
For me, I think Qatar, just because they have the experience. They're not that beast they were in 2019, of course, winning the Asia Cup and only conceding one goal, and that one goal was against Japan in the final 3-1 win. So Qatar should qualify just based off experience. China, they're probably going into this tournament one of the worst teams. Um, they don't have hope. Uh, mm, I'm gonna go China fourth, and
Wow.
I think it's their first tournament. Um, Taj- um, Tajikstan, I think
Yeah.
first tournament. I'm gonna go third for them, and then Lebanon second, because I
Well,
think Lebanon can beat China, and of course the their first game being Qatar is that big one. But China, Tajikistan, that game, whoever wins that game definitely puts himself in a good position to get second. Um,
wow. That is a very big call because I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a look at the Lebanon team right now and see which of their players really can expect to play a big role for them. And, there is, because I remember telling you that the Lebanese team back then, when I saw them, were really more of a typical Middle Eastern Arab team, not a powerhouse team that would fight quite hard. But I never ever would expect that they would, really really go far forward. I still have them finishing third and competing as hard as they can for one of the best third place finishing teams. There's not too much in terms of experience in this team. I mean, Hassan Martouk is their captain, playing domestically for Ansar. They've got some players playing elsewhere around the world, one in Malaysia, one in Thailand. There's another one playing all the way in Mexico for Atlante. And there's even a British-based player, Omar Shaban, playing for AFC Wimbledon. Another one in Singapore. But I'll tell you what, even if we take a look at some of the form that they've had, they've been quite inconsistent, to be honest. Wins have been hard to come by. So how you can say that they have a chance
Well,
of qualifying second
I
is
just
beyond
think,
me.
in, look, they beat Lebanon. Sorry, Jordan. They do good. They play good football, and I just think China are that poor, and Tajikstan, eh, not the best. I just think the group they are in, without form wise, both teams are doing, it's not the best, but it will definitely be close between those three teams: China, ah,
Tajikistan and Lebanon.
Pakistan, Lebanon. Yeah, definitely close
Okay.
by.
Yeah,
What do
well, I
you think?
suppose there is a part of me that thinks that China's heritage and experience means that they'll always be favourites in some respect, and even for this Tajikistan team, uh, very very low in terms of experience. Akhtam Nazarov is their most capped player, and their captain is Umar Bayev with 45. And if we take a look at the Asian Cup records, yes, they have qualified for their first one. Their form as well. Um, 3 wins against Singapore, Malaysia, and Pakistan, but again, nothing much to really to crow about. Although they have had fewer losses than draws. So interesting calls those. I still think for me, Qatar and China should qualify as the top two, and Lebanon will be in third. And maybe Qatar will finish ahead of China for that reason. You might be right. Now, Group B is a group which, in some ways,
Ooh,
getting a
this
little bit
game is.
better, but a little bit close to my heart in some ways, not so close in others. We've got the Socceroos from Australia, we've got India, Syria, and Uzbekistan. Now, obviously, Australia are former champions of the Asia Cup, having won in 2015, and we all know several of their players from their time in the Premier League and having watched them perennially qualify for the World Cup under various coaches. In fact, one of their former coaches is now coaching in the Premier League. Hello to you, Mr. Postecoglou, or g'day, as one would say. But the Socceroos, of course, still coached by Graham Arnold.
Yeah.
And
The Socceroos have left out a few of their stars.
yes, they
Some.
have. They have. They have. And I actually wanted to get the Aussie Gooner to talk about this. And you mentioned some of their stars. What are the names that come to mind?
I can't remember them, but I read somewhere. One, but experience. That's all I know. Experience lads.
Yeah. Well, one player whose Socceroos career is effectively over, or has been over for quite some time, is, of course, Trent Sainsbury, who happens to be Graham Arnold's son in law. Dropped from the World Cup squad for Qatar. He doesn't find his place back in this squad for Asia. And he hasn't even been involved for quite some time. And in fact, you mentioned some of the stars. Matthew Leckie has been left out, although he misses out due to an unfortunate injury. Uh, no place for Aaron Moy, of course, who retired from
Yeah.
international duty. No place for Massimo Luongo. Milos Degenek also doesn't find a place in the squad. And Bailey Wright, also not in. Tom Glover, of course, is a name that Aston Villa fans will remember very well after his performance in the FA Cup recently. But Andrew Redmayne, of course, was the penalty hero for Australia as they qualified for the World Cup by the skin of their teeth. And one big headline miss, Garang Kuol. So these
Also,
are the yeah,
also, where is it? Jamie McLaren, and Matt Leckie.
yeah.
Also, they're not.
Lecky I mentioned has missed out due to an injury, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and the Melbourne City duo. Um, who else? Yeah. So there's three uncapped players for the Aussies.
Yep,
Uh,
three.
Patrick Gersbeck, and defender
John
Jones, Getton Jones. Yes.
Gethin Jones. It's actually mentioned he does have one cap. Bolton Wanderers defender Cameron Burgess, of course, for Ipswich Town. Several British-based players in the squad. Garan Kuol's omission is a big surprise because this was, of course, was the wild card pick that Arnold made for the World Cup, and it was he actually who very nearly took Argentina to extra time, I think, with a snapshot very near the end, only for Emi Martinez to come up clutch with one of the saves en route to becoming goalkeeper of the tournament. But the fact that he has only ended up earning 5 caps means that there is still a bit of a rawness in him, which is a bit of a shame, really. I only hope that he can accelerate his development. And Awad Mabil, I forgot to mention him, also part of the World Cup squad, not in this Asian squad. But there are a few mainstays. Matthew Ryan is expected to captain the team, with his backup goalkeepers being Lawrence Thomas and Joe Gauchi. Aziz Behic finds his place in the squad, and he will be expected to lead the line of the defence. Harry Souttar, of course, from Leicester City, brother of John Souttar, who plays for Scotland. And then Thomas Deng, Kai Rolls, Nathaniel Atkinson. A few other names we might know there fairly well. Among the midfielders, Jackson Irvine is expected to be an important cog over there, but still very light in experience. Not too many names I'd know too well. Mitchell Duke and Craig Goodwin, and
they should be still. They should still be able to top this group. If you're looking at the teams in that group, India, Syria, and Uzbekistan, they should be able to qualify top. And
yeah,
I have got them
exactly.
top. Um,
Yeah,
India,
I agree.
India, it's a tricky one.
Yeah, quite a few people, mind you, actually have India not finishing too highly, but this is another Asian Cup in which they've participated. Their current ranking is, of course, 102. And we take a look at their competitive record. Of course, we all know that they were infamous for qualifying for the 1950 World Cup, but withdrew because they weren't allowed to play barefoot. And as far as the Asian Cup record is concerned, they qualified, they were runners-up in 1964, well back in the day. They were in the group stage in 84. 2011 saw them return to the tournament after that 27-year gap. They qualified again in 2019, and 2023 has seen them qualify again. So that's 3 qualifications for the past 4 editions. Would be enough to suggest that they have made some really, really wonderful strides for quite some time. They still seem to be dependent in many ways on the likes of Sunil Chetri, and of course their head coach is the former Croatian international Igor Stimac, a teammate of the likes of Davor Suker, Slaven Bilic, and others in that magnificent Croatian World Cup team from 1998. Trevor Sinclair, former England international, a member of the 2002 World Cup squad, who played in 4 of England's 5 games as an emergency left-sided midfielder. And taking a look at the squad, a few slightly experienced players missing out, but no real controversial admissions. Gurmeet Singh Sandhu is, of course, the vice captain. Very big unit, tall bloke. He is expected to lead the line. I mean, sort of anchor the team in goal, with Vishal Kaith and Amarinder Singh as his backups. The likes of Sandesh Chingan, Subhashish Bose, Rahul Peke, Pritam Kotal. All of these players are domestically based and play their football in what is known as the Indian Super League, which is actually quite big over here in India. Although, sadly, my local team, Chennai FC, has no representative. We have to look at our former Blues, Vishal Kaith, Lalinzwala Changte, and others. Anirudh Thapa, of course, was our captain, but he's since moved on to Mohan Bagan. there is quite a lot of experience in this team, although Sunil Chetri, of course, has 145 caps, still going strong at the age of 39. You do
Yeah,
think that this might be his last Asia Cup. I do not see him trying to qualify, help India qualify for 2026.
I
That is
think
out of the picture, and he might retire.
India
Yes?
right now, of course, he played in a time where India were really poor, and now India's starting to pick a tiny bit. If he was maybe, let's say, 15, 10 years younger in his pomp, India would have loved him right now at this tournament. Um, but unfortunately, they don't have. But this group, India, I reckon India might struggle this group. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, we're going to take a look at their form and find out. And their form actually recently has not really been too good. Losses to Lebanon and Malaysia have not really helped them. An excellent win in the World Cup qualifiers against Kuwait on their home turf. Kuwait have really, you know, seen their standards decrease from their heydays back in the 90s and 2000s. And of course, they qualified for the World Cup in '82 when I was barely a year old. But a chastening home loss to Qatar has hurt them a little bit. But prior to that, of course, they had wins over Myanmar, Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia. They had, in fact, beaten Lebanon and drawn against them in the Intercontinental Cup en route to winning the Intercontinental Cup in 2023. But since then, obviously, their recent form hasn't quite been the best. But there is quite a lot in them to suggest that they will actually do quite well. And I will take a look at the Syria team, and I will promise you I will be quick. This is why we've got. Sadly, I'm not too sure that they have a. Yes, of course they do. Every single national team must have a Wikipedia page. What are you talking about, Bangladesh? And Syria's national ranking is, of course, 91, marginally at least ahead of India. And their Asian Cup record, they have qualified on several occasions. The most recent one, of course, being in 2019 and 2011, where India were also there. I don't recollect if they were in the same group. Their competitive record, if we take a look at it, oops. Yeah, these are the recent results and fixtures, and their recent form hasn't been anything to shout out about either. A dreadful home loss to Japan in World Cup qualifying, a narrow victory over North Korea in World Cup qualification, a narrow loss to Kuwait, and losses to the likes of Bahrain and Vietnam, who are also in this tournament. So there's not too much about Syria to suggest that they will really, cause too much trouble. And if we take a look at the squad over here, some experienced players, but several players with very few, with almost no caps at all. And again, one controversial omission from the squad is Mahmoud Al Mawas, one of their most capped players. Last international was in November 2023 and not picked for the preliminary squad. I don't know if he's retired or injured or whatever. And with 15 goals, he's one of their leading scorers. So not exactly a player that could ill afford to have been left out, but it is what it is. And several of these players do play elsewhere in the Middle East. We have a couple of Swedish-based players, one in Greece, one in the Czech Republic. So, yeah, there is some experience here as well, and some top-flight experience in other nations. But their recent form has been nothing to shout about. And I think the way India have been coached by Stimac, there is enough for me to suggest that they can give the Syrians a really good fight, especially given how they performed against the likes of Kuwait, which had, of course, beaten them. And if we take a look at Uzbekistan, pardon me.
Pakistan is also like a Lebanon and what's it? Tajikstan. They just
Yeah.
they they're doing really well now, and putting themselves on the map.
Yep, and Uzbekistan have made a habit of qualifying for the Asian Cup on several occasions, all the way from as back as 1996 to recently. And recent results and fixtures will indicate an excellent run of form for them, with only 2 defeats in the middle to Iran and the United States. But since then, they've actually looked really, really good. A narrow 1-0 win over Palestine in Qatar. They were, given a tough fight by the Palestinians, but they ended up, prevailing. And most cap player is Igor Sergeyev with 70 caps.
Yeah.
Not too much in terms of experience throughout the squad. They will, of course, be without their longtime captain, Eldor Shomurodov, who misses out due to an injury, based in Cagliari in Italy. And several of their players are based in Russia, one in Greece, one in Turkey, one playing in France, of course. So I suppose you can say, in hindsight, that with this group having teams whose players are spread out a little bit more geographically, maybe Australia and Uzbekistan have the edge. So my prediction would be Australia to top the group, Uzbekistan to finish second, and India and Syria to battle it out for the third spot. And my money will be on India to take third place. I don't know if it'll be enough to secure their qualification for the round of 16, but third place will be better than fourth. What do you think?
Agree with you, spot on.
Okay, brilliant. Now, Group C, the Hong Kong national team, who are, of course, playing in their first tournament, followed by perennial Asian powerhouses Iran, the United Arab Emirates, and the sentimental favourites from this group, Palestine. So we're going to take a look at Iran first of all.
Yeah.
And they call themselves Team Melli, and their current ranking is, of course, 21st in the world. And I remember watching many Iranian players, legends of yore, the likes of Ali Daei, Khoadad Azizi, Mehdi Medavakia. The names seem to roll off my tongue, but I seem to have a knack for that. And they've also made a habit of qualifying for World Cups. They were, of course, in the recent World Cup in Qatar, and just missed out on qualifying. In fact, they were in England's group, if memory serves me right, at the receiving end of a 6-2 drubbing, and just missed out on qualifying after a tight loss to the United States of America. And their current coach is... it was Queiroz, but he obviously resigned. And their form, a thing of beauty. No defeats, powerhouses for a reason. Ali Reza Beranvand, of course, sustained a dreadful injury during the World Cup, but he was able to recover, and he is expected to be their first-choice goalkeeper. Ehsan Housafi is their captain. Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh, of course, formerly of Brighton and Hove Albion, now with Feyenoord of the Netherlands. Saman Ghoddos, who I'm sure our friend Mr. B knows very well, for the Bees in Brentford. And there is a domestic-based player, Omid Ebrahimi, playing for the Al Shamal club in Qatar. And Purali Ganji is, of course, an experienced miss due to an injury. Another omission is, of course, Vahid Amiri with 71 caps. But apart from that, no real controversial omissions. And this is a team, of course, if we take a look at their Asian Cup history, 3-time champions, semi-finals in 2019, and they were third-place finishers as recently as 2004, 1996, 88, and 1980. So Asian powerhouses doesn't even do this team justice. In fact, when you take a look at this particular team, you cannot look beyond them qualifying from this group as group winners. What do you say, Bert?
Yeah, I think it's between them and UAE. Oh, I think Iran will basically, but UAE, they should also have second spot secured because Hong Kong, Palestine.
Yeah, Palestine, of course, will be a sentimental story, and I think when we look at their team, they could possibly finish third because they have played in the Asian Cup before, and they will be sentimental favourites in Qatar given what's been happening these days. Uh, a current ranking of 64. They were semi-finalists in the last Asian Cup tournament, which they hosted, but ever since 1990 have failed to qualify for the World Cup. And their head coach is the former Portugal and South Africa coach, South Korea coach, I must say, Paulo Bento. Sorry for the South Africa bit. That was a terrible Freudian slip. And because I know that your coach is not Paulo Bento. And their form hasn't been too bad either, apart from home losses to Kuwait and Oman. Oman, of course, are in the tournament. They've had a huge glut of wins in between, albeit over teams that, you would say that they're expected to beat, although the 4-1 thrashing of Costa Rica was a very welcome result, it must be said. And, of course, a huge Portuguese flavour when it comes to the coaching staff. And among the current squad, huge competition between Ali Khasif and Khalid Issa for the goalkeeping spot. Not too much...
every player is from UAE. Don't know if
What did you
there's
say?
any. It seems like all the players are from UAE. I don't know.
Yeah, this is another squad, along with I think Qatar, where all the players are domestically based and they play in their own domestic league. And Walid Abbas, Bandar Al Ahbabi, Abdulaziz Haikal, surprise admissions there. Majid Hassan, another admission. And clearly, there is some experience in the form of their all-time top scorer, Ali Mabhout, who is expected to lead the line, along with the likes of Fabio Lima and Ali Saleh. And the UAE is, of course, another country where several Latin American or European players have since become naturalized citizens and now, of course, play for the UAE. So even if you take a look at their competitive record, as I've mentioned, their World Cup record is better best not mentioned. The last time they made the tournament was in the group stage, losing all 3 of their games and only scoring 2 goals. As far as the Asia Cup is concerned, they've never won, but they were runners-up in '96 where they hosted, and they were semi-finalists when they hosted in 2019 and third-place finishers in 2015. So this is a team which also has, come on the up recently, but they do need to qualify for another World Cup. Maybe 2026 is their chance. I can't look beyond them finishing second in the group, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on that, yeah? Hanno?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, agree.
Okay.
And I think Hong Kong and Palestine, they're all self-explanatory, really.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think
So,
Hong
yeah, so
Kong lost.
go ahead. Yep.
I reckon Hong Kong finished last. Palestine third. Iran and UAE.
Yeah. Now, of course, what we're going to do over here is let's give a snap prediction as to who will qualify from Group D. Japan and Iraq. Former champions. You cannot look beyond either of them. Yeah?
Yeah, Japan qualified definitely. They definitely favorites. Iraq, Indonesia, Vietnam. This one, it's a tough one. What did you go with?
Well,
Indonesia.
I'm probably going to go with Japan to qualify as group winners, Iraq to finish second, and I suppose Indonesia will probably end up having the upper hand over Vietnam. And of course, the squad itself for the Samurai Blue, not too much in terms of experience, except maybe in the midfield. Nobody with over 100 caps this time around. And, of course, names to look out for are Yuta Nakayama from Huddersfield Town. Ryan Mather will know him well. my guy, Takahiro Tomiyasu, the Tommy Gun, Wataru Endo from Liverpool, who is captaining the team, 55 caps for him, and Kaoru Mitoma from Brighton and Hove Albion, and several other players based in Europe. And no real controversial omissions over here as far as Japan are concerned. As far as Iraq, of course, a formerly war-torn team which is still struggling to recover. They had their moments of glory, in fact, when they sensationally won the Asian Cup in 2007, beating Saudi Arabia in the final. And a look at their squad as well. Ali Adnan is expected to captain the team. I mean, he's their most experienced player, but Jalal Hassan will be their captain with 76 caps, the goalkeeper.
In this game, in this group, I'm gonna edge it to Vietnam over Indonesia.
Why would you edge it?
I just think Vietnam will beat, or they will draw, or Vietnam will win. I don't think Indonesia. It's a tough one, but I'm gonna edge it to Vietnam to win that game they play.
You know what? I actually might be inclined to agree with you. Yep.
I think maybe goal difference.
I'll probably give it to. I think I'll probably change my prediction and give it to Vietnam as well, because taking a look at Indonesia's record, they haven't really made the best of impression when it comes to Asian Cup performances, unlike Vietnam, who have been quarterfinalists on several occasions. So, yeah, Vietnam over Indonesia for me. But Japan and Iraq, first and second, no real complaints. Group E, Bahrain, Jordan, Malaysia, and other Asian powerhouses, South Korea. Regular qualifiers for the World Cup. But I'm not sure they've been able to try to get their act together when it comes to the Asian Cup. In fact, they were, of course, Asian Cup champions back in 1956 and 1960. But since then, they've been runners-up on 4 occasions, the recent one being in 2015 to Australia, and 4 third-place finishers, quarterfinalists in 2019. They need to get their act together. But in this group, you cannot look beyond them finishing top, surely. Right?
Yeah, South Korea, definitely. Who's worse, Bahrain or Jordan? That's a big question. Surely Bahrain are worse than Jordan, right?
Not necessarily. I think Bahrain might have actually improved a little bit. And of course, the big name to watch is Heung-min Son from Wolverhampton Wanderers. And for some reason, I want to see if Hee Chan Huang finds that place in the squad. Yes, he does. So Heung-min Son and Hee Chan Huang will be expected to play big roles for the South Koreans. I think Heung-min Son will be as more of an attacking midfielder, surprisingly. But, you can't look beyond South Korea. And so if we go to the Bahrain national football team, we'll take a look at their ranking. 86. And a so-so Asian Cup record. They were 4th place finishers in 2004 when Japan won and China finished 2nd, which wasn't too bad. Round of 16 in 2019. I think they are seeing a bit of improvement from 2007, 2011, and 2015 when they finished in the group stage. And I do know that the Jordanian national football team, I believe they were quarterfinalists in 2004, and they were beaten by Japan in a penalty shootout. Their form hasn't really been that good. And when you take a look at their own competitive record when it comes to the Asian Cup, Not really the best, to be honest. So, to answer your question, I'd say that Bahrain are at least marginally better than Jordan, and they should be able to finish in second ahead of the Jordanians. And that means that Malaysia, apologies to our dear friend Eugene from Eugene Spurs Asia TV, but I'm afraid that Malaysia might not have much hope of doing very well,
Uh,
although we will
I was
see.
going to put them second. I don't know about you, but I
No,
think
because
Bahrain and Jordan
because
fight for.
Malaysia really don't have that much in terms of a heritage in terms of football. I mean, I know that they were once upon a time fairly big back in the day. They've never qualified for the World Cup, and as far as the Asian Games record is concerned, three group stage appearances, the most recent of which coming in 2007, I think says it all. So I know that Eugene will be excited to watch the Malaysian team play, but I don't hold out much hope for them. And this final group should be very easy to predict. Saudi Arabia to top the group, Oman in second,
Yeah,
Thailand in third, and the Kyrgyz Republic in fourth. Do you concur?
yeah. Now we need to figure out third place. So four best third place teams.
Hmm.
So okay, so
So,
Group
yeah,
A,
so Lebanon,
Lebanon for you. For me, I went
Tajikstan.
Tajikstan.
Yep,
Okay, Australia, India, Pakistan. We both went India.
yep.
Hong Kong, Iran. We both
We,
went Palestine third, right?
yep, yep.
Palestine third. Indonesia, Iraq, Japan, Vietnam.
We both went Vietnam.
Vietnam third. Bahrain, Jordan, Malaysia.
I went for
Um,
South Korea, Jordan, and Bahrain, so Bahrain would be third. I don't know, Jordan would be third, I think. Yeah, South Korea, Bahrain, Jordan. So Jordan was
okay.
third.
Uh, I'll go Bahrain. Let's go Jordan. Let's go Jordan because you also went Jordan. And then this one we're going Thailand. So we need to then choose four. I'll go Tajikistan, India, Jordan, Thailand. I can only choose four.
Yep.
I'll go in India third, and then it's between Jordan, Thailand, and Palestine. I'll go Palestine. Palestine. So
Ooh, a big
Tajikistan,
pull.
India, Palestine. Who's my fourth?
Jordan,
Thailand.
you said.
Yeah, yeah, we'll go Jordan. Why not?
Okay.
Four third place team.
Yeah.
Geez. Jordan or yeah, we'll go Jordan. We'll go Jordan.
Okay.
I
Well,
just need to remember them now.
yeah, just write them down. I mean, I'll remember them. And I did mention Mr. B. He is in the chat. Big up, fella. Should be good this and AFCON. And if you are watching Mr. B, I hope you will be following Mr. Godos and watching how the Iranians do. Do take a look at them when you can. I hope that there will be coverage back in the UK, maybe on ITV or whatever. Maybe BBC will be showing it. I don't know. And so, as far as my picks are concerned for the fourth place team, and I will be quick, I'm going to go with Lebanon, India. Uh, I would love to say Palestine, but I think Vietnam just have a little bit more in terms of the heritage, and Jordan. So those are my four picks for the third place teams.
Okay, I'm going to Vietnam or Jordan or Thailand. That's my choice. Uh, let's go. No, Thailand. Let's go Thailand. So Thai.
Okay, very good. Well,
Okay.
I think with that, we can now end the stream, and now you get to see my
Uh,
face because I know that you've got another stream for the
we can
AFCON coming
quickly.
up.
I think knockout stage. Just quickly work them out. Maybe do them. Um. I've got the knockout stages. Um, yeah, just
Oh,
quickly work them out there. So it's runner up in Group A. Um, you went Tajikistan. I went Lebanon.
no, no, no,
So
no. The runner-up, and you've got the third group over here. So runner-up will be whoever finishes second. And I went for
yeah,
China, but you went for
Tajikistan. Yeah,
you,
runner
you
up
went for.
and runner up in A and C. So I went
So that would be the
Tajikistan
UAE. So that could
and
potentially be
wait.
either Tajikistan or China against the UAE.
Um, now it's Palestine in third for both of us. I think I had Palestine third and Tajikistan.
No, no, no. Listen, see, the runner-up is for those who finish second. Third group, if you see over
Oh
there,
yeah,
yeah,
second. Sorry. Mix it up. So it's Lebanon and UAE for me. For you, China
China and the
and
UAE.
UAE, and then the third of D, winner of Group D. So that is
Japan.
Japan versus, of course, third in Group A, C, or D.
No,
So
wait, no,
I
no. I
think
think it's
let
no, no. It says
D
winner
and
of group.
F.
It says winner of Group D versus third Group B, E, F.
Yeah, don't know which one until it finishes. Let's
Yeah. So
go.
the winner of Group D will be Japan, right? So
Yeah,
third from Group B, E, or F will be either India, Jordan, or Thailand.
India, I would say.
So
So
Japan against India. Ooh, that's going to be a tasty one. And the winner of those two games will face each other in the quarterfinals.
and then
Potentially a UAE versus Japan clash. Very tasty indeed.
one of Group B, Australia against third group in A, C, or D. A is
I went
uh,
for Lebanon, and from Group C, I went for Palestine, and from Group D, I went for Vietnam.
Vietnam. So I would say Lebanon, right, for you,
Yeah.
and Tajikistan for me. Versus Aussies. Aussies should win. So Aussies. Um, and then one of Group F is Saudi, and run up in Group E, which is uh,
Bahrain.
Bahrain for you, Malaysia for me, South
You
Korea.
have a lot of confidence in Eugene's team, eh?
Saudi should win. Yeah, but let's end the stream. I think all technicalities right now till we properly know. Uh,
Exactly, exactly. Because
Nice.
you know, obviously, once the closer we get to the end of the knockout stages, we will do a preview for the the group stage. We will do a preview for the knockout stages. So yeah, I think we will probably end this now because you do have another stream for the Afcon, and I hope that goes well. But obviously, I will hope to cover some of the games, and if possible, the Australia-India game will be a classic. But I also want to big up another friend of ours, Prasanna Balakrishnan, PB Talks. He will be, if possible, doing watch-alongs for the India games in this tournament. So you are welcome to go on his channel and also join him there and tell us that we sent you there, Coach's Corner. He'll know who we are. But until then, Hanno, do you have anything you want to say?
No, just that AFCON stream is starting soon, so it's straight going over to that one. And yeah, Asia Cup is going to look very nice. Be up yourself. It's about Tobago, yeah, Tobago. Um, but be up yourself. Yeah, some some tasty games and look, upsets can happen. But Japan, who's your tournament winner before we end off? Tournament winner for you.
Oh, tournament winner is a tough one. Oh god, I can't look beyond Japan, but you know, stranger things have happened. We might see
Yeah,
another Middle Eastern team win. Who knows?
Japan also for me.
Okay. Well, anything else?
No, I think from my end.
Well, big up to you. Thank you very much for arranging this stream for me. And hopefully we will do some watch alongs for some of the games. You will, of course, have my reasonable looking face and my reasonable sounding voice on commentary when we do if we do them. But until then, as always, thank you very much indeed, Hanno. Thanks to everyone who's joined in the chat. You've made this stream what it is. You make our channel what it is. We will see you all soon. But until then, take care, everyone.
Take care.